Self-awareness and authenticity are the foundational building blocks for forming meaningful human connections. When Carl Jung spoke about the importance of understanding the self, he emphasized how essential it is to become aware of the unconscious mind and the archetypes that influence our behavior. We cannot build genuine relationships if we are disconnected from who we truly are. Whether in personal relationships or within the social media realm, the more authentic we are in expressing ourselves, the more we attract others who resonate with our true essence. In practice, self-awareness starts with introspection. Take a moment to reflect on your thoughts, emotions, and actions. How much of your behavior is authentic, and how much is shaped by external expectations? Are you wearing a mask to fit into societal norms, or are you truly expressing your inner self? By embracing this kind of self-reflection, you open the door to authenticity and ultimately to deeper human connections. This process is transformative and leads to a more fulfilled life, one where relationships are based on mutual respect and trust rather than superficial interactions. When we choose to live with authenticity, we also face the challenge of accepting ourselves as we are, flaws and all. This doesn't mean we're perfect, but it means we acknowledge our shadow self and work towards self-acceptance. Embracing this aspect of ourselves allows us to create connections that are grounded in vulnerability, and as a result, we find more meaning and purpose in our relationships. Moving forward, let's explore how this awareness ties into the integration of our shadow and its role in the individuation process. Individuation and shadow integration. The process of individuation, as Carl Jung described, is the path to psychological wholeness. It involves the integration of all aspects of the self, particularly the shadow, which consists of the parts of ourselves that we repress or refuse to acknowledge. We all have aspects of our personality or behaviors that are uncomfortable or embarrassing, but these are often the very traits that hold the key to personal transformation. In order to achieve true self-awareness and authenticity, we must integrate the shadow, embracing it as a part of who we are. Integrating the shadow is not easy. It requires vulnerability and honesty. It asks us to face the parts of ourselves that we often avoid, such as fear, anger, insecurity, and self-doubt. However, when we are willing to bring these parts of ourselves into the light, we begin to experience true healing and personal growth. The more we understand our unconscious patterns, the more we can free ourselves from being controlled by them. It's a deeply transformative process, one that requires courage and commitment, but it leads to a life of empowerment and wholeness. The integration of opposites, like light and shadow, creates balance in our psyche. When we integrate the shadow, we can act from a place of authenticity, where we no longer hide or mask our true selves. This process creates emotional healing and opens up the possibility for genuine connections with others, as we no longer project our unresolved issues onto the people around us. Next, we'll explore how the transformative power of relationships is deeply connected to our ability to integrate the shadow and embrace vulnerability. The transformative power of relationships. Relationships have the incredible potential to be a mirror for our inner selves. They reflect our unconscious patterns, our fears, and our deepest insecurities, but also hold the potential for profound healing and transformation. When Carl Jung talked about the importance of relationships, he emphasized that they are not only sources of connection, but also catalysts for personal growth. They challenge us, provoke us, and when we approach them with authenticity, they offer the space for us to work through our shadows and emerge stronger. In meaningful relationships, we are often confronted with our vulnerabilities, and it's through these moments of authentic connection that we can begin to heal and grow. For example, in a relationship where there is trust, one partner might confront old wounds from childhood, and the other offers empathy and support. This emotional exchange allows both individuals to process and integrate aspects of themselves that were previously hidden or repressed. Relationships thus become mirrors, reflecting our true selves, and when we allow them to guide us, they lead us to a deeper sense of self-awareness. As we build authentic relationships, it's essential to keep in mind that they require us to engage fully, not just on a superficial level, but in a way that allows us to grow and transform together. The challenge is not only finding deep connections, but also learning how to nurture them in a way that fosters empathy, vulnerability, and mutual respect. Relationships push us to break free from victimhood, embrace personal responsibility, and step into a more authentic existence. Now that we see how relationships shape us, let's explore how vulnerability plays a key role in this process of transformation. The importance of vulnerability in connection. Vulnerability is often perceived as a weakness, yet it is, in fact, the key to authentic connection and personal transformation. Carl Jung understood that in order to truly know ourselves and connect with others, we must be willing to expose our true selves, without the masks or defenses we typically hide behind. Vulnerability is the doorway to intimacy, trust, and the kind of relationships that offer emotional healing. It is only when we show our flaws, fears, and insecurities that we can experience genuine connection. In practice, embracing vulnerability means being open about our struggles, our past experiences, and our emotional wounds. For instance, a conversation where two people share their deepest fears can lead to greater understanding and a more meaningful connection. Instead of pretending to be perfect, we allow ourselves to be seen as we are, imperfect yet whole. Vulnerability fosters an environment of empathy, where both individuals feel heard and supported, and this emotional exchange becomes a catalyst for personal growth and transformation. However, vulnerability also requires courage, the courage to face discomfort, to step out of the comfort zone, and to allow authenticity to guide us. It asks us to challenge our inner fears, let go of the need for control, and trust that showing our true selves will lead to deeper connections. This process is not always easy, but it is through this embrace of vulnerability that we open the door to self-acceptance, healing, and a richer, more connected life. As we explore this topic, we will now look at how authentic connection is becoming more difficult in the modern world and how we can overcome these challenges. The challenges of authentic connection in the modern world. In today's world, authentic connections are more challenging to achieve than ever before. With the rise of social media, many interactions are superficial, driven by the desire to be liked or validated. Carl Jung would argue that these external validations prevent us from accessing deeper, more meaningful interactions. We are often caught in the trap of performing rather than truly being, which leaves us feeling alienated and disconnected from our true selves. The modern world, with its constant bombardment of images, expectations, and distractions, can make it difficult to experience genuine human connection. Despite these challenges, authenticity is still possible, even in the most fast-paced, image-driven society. It requires a conscious effort to step away from the need for external validation and instead focus on inner truth and self-awareness. For example, rather than crafting a persona for social media that reflects what you think others want to see, choose vulnerability and honesty in your self-expression. This might mean showing the messiness of life, the struggles, the fears, the imperfections, and finding others who can connect with that raw authenticity. By doing so, you create space for real connections that go beyond the surface and allow for personal transformation and growth. Moreover, the challenge of authentic connection in the modern world often lies in our fear of being judged. We may hesitate to show our true selves because of the fear that others won't understand or accept us. However, Jung would say that growth occurs when we confront these fears head-on. The more we push past the barriers of self-doubt and vulnerability, the more we open ourselves to genuine relationships. Overcoming the fear of judgment and embracing authenticity is not only essential for forming meaningful connections, but also for personal transformation. Now, as we conclude this exploration, we see that authentic relationships demand inner work, but they are also the source of deep fulfillment and human connection.